Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and selamat sejahtera to all of you. My name is RAUF bin MUTHOKHIR and I am student from UITM Seremban 3 and I will be representing for this group member Aishah Umira binti Shamsudin, students from Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies UITM Seremban 3, and MARNI GHAZALI, senior lecturer from Faculty of Administrative Science and Policy Studies UITM Sembilan. And our topic for our presentation is good governance practices and its relations on public trust at the Ipoh City Council. We are going to the first part of this paper, which is introduction. Malaysia is one of the countries that successfully developed by its plan Hafiz, Aziz and Said 2015. According to Hotami 2017, a clear government in the country is important as a part of good governance practices, as highlighted by Khalid Alam and Said 2016 and Obiero 2018. Good governance practices are very important to increase public trust. Most importantly, study conducted by Muhammad Ali Kalam and Othman Omar and Rahman 2017 mentioned that integrity illness remains critical and the level of trust among the public remains the same. Despite, according to Omar ETAL 2017, stated that many initiatives taken by the government, but the integrity deficiency issue still shackling the civil services and not showing any signs of reduction. According to Hafiz, Aziza, Farah, Wahida and Jamaliah 2015, the major challenges for a government are to strengthen ethics and integrity in order to enhance positive feedback from the public, because public is the receiver. The issue of integrity is a significant problem in the Malaysian public sector, because since integrity is also one of the important pillars of good governance practices. Besides, transparency is also one of the most important practices in good governance practices. According to Tahir 2018, transparency implies openness, which allows the people to know about what happens in the country and allow the people to know what has been done to the country. Moreover, the process will show that the work or job has been done with honesty and selflessness to ensure that goals or the objective that have been made will be achieved, as stated by Tahir 2018. However, Core 2020 revealed that Malaysian government do not have any good record on transparency, and he also added that the decreasing of public trust happens because of the laws that offer the chances to hide data and the bad news. The absence of transparency in the public sector will be change the perception and the level of trust among the public towards the public sector, because accountability is another key requirement in the good governance practices. As stated by Hotami 2017 mentioned that creating a good governance activity is one of the most important roles, as well as part of increasing public trust in the government strategy and performance. And he also added that accountability included the existence of mechanisms that make sure the public and public officials, political leaders will be responsible for any action that have been made to the public. Not only that, the failure of the public sector in practicing accountability and managing the records, the sources will result in a declining of the level of public trust. Referring to the World Bank report 2020, the percentage indicator for a voice and accountability in Malaysia is 43.35% out of 100% 2019. Besides, responsiveness in good governance practices is also important because it will increase the relationship between the people and the government. In fact, people will trust the government to make good decisions in solving a problem that happens in the country, as stated well done 2018. And the most importantly is responsiveness was found to be very significant in the engaging the public trust. Zaini Kopusami and Azizan 2018. And prerequisite element in a good governance practices to enhance public trust. Hence, based on the above mentioned discussion before, this studies attempt to achieve three objectives as follows. The first one is to identify the level of public trust in a good governance practices. Second is to examine the relationship between good governance practices namely integrity, transparency, accountability, and responsiveness with the public trust. And thirdly is to determine the most influential predictors of good governance practices on public trust at the Ipoh City Council. Next part is methods and materials. Okay, this paper will be conducted by this using a quantitative survey method through cross-sectional study. The questionnaire will be distributed to the individual who receive the services experience in dealing with the Ipoh City Councils, and the total populations of the study is 300,000 people per year, and according to Krigi and Morgan 1970, the expected or the appropriate sample size is 384 respondents, and the person who written the questionnaire is 214 respondents, which is the person who written the questionnaire. In this study, purposive sampling technique was adopted to identify and select the targeted respondents, and the measurement on the good governance practices is measured based on the 4 pillars, namely is integrity, transparency, accountability, and responsiveness, by using 5-point Likert scale, which is ranging from 1, which is stand for strongly disagree, and to 5, which is strongly agree, by using questionnaires. In the term of data analysis, we are adopted three ways, which is descriptive analysis, Pearson correlations, and multiple regressions in order to identify the most influential factors between IV and the DV. And the data will be analyzed by using statistical package for social science SPSS. Next part is results and discussion. In this study, descriptive analysis was carried out by looking the mean score and the standard deviation in order to identify the level of public trust. And the study indicates, as shown in the slides, shows that table 1 indicates that overall public trust is moderately high, with the mean score of public trust, which is median is the mean is 3.50 and the standard deviation is 2.70. Therefore, by referring to the table of the interpretation level of means by Nunnally 1978, the level of public trust on good governance practices at Ipoh City Council can be classified as moderately high. Next is to examine the relationship between good governance practices, namely integrity, transparency, accountability, and responsiveness, and with public trust. As shown in the table 2, Pearson correlation coefficient R was carried out to examine the relationship between integrity and the public trust. The findings reveal that integrity and public trust poses high relationship, which is R is 0.871, and the significant value is less than 0.01, which is p-value is less than 0.01. Thus, in the relation to this study finding, prior studies also have shown that integrity is one of the most important practices in the Malaysian public sector, as stated by Syed et.al. 2015, Khalid, Syed and Alam 2016, Sajari, Harun and Ismail 2017, Alam, Johari and Syed 2018. In addition, this statement was also supported by the Syed, Alam and Khalid 2016, as highlighted that integrity has a significant impact on the public trust in the public sector. As shown in table 3, the result for correlation analysis found that both variables, namely transparency and public trust, poses a high relationship with the R value is 0.894, and the significant value is less than 0.01. From the analysis, it can be seen that transparency has statistically poses high relationship and a high and positive significant relationship on public trust, particularly at Ipoh City Council, in the relation to the study finding. Prior studies also proved that transparency in good governance practices is positively influenced in the public trust in the public sector. organization, as stated by Schmidt-Huber et al. 2020. As shown in the table 4, Pearson correlation coefficient R was carried out to examine the relationship between accountability and public trust. The finding revealed that accountability and public trust poses high relationship because R value is 0.886 and the significant value is less than 0.01. Thus, in the relationship to this prior study shows that there is a positive relationship between accountability and public trust. As shown in the table 5, the result for correlation analysis found that both variables, namely responsiveness and public trust, poses high relationship, which is R value is 0.876 and the P value is less than 0.01. From the study finding, it can be concluded that responsiveness has statistically high and positive significant relationship on public trust at the Ipoh City Council. In relation to the study findings, prior study also proved that there is a strong relationship between responsiveness and public trust, as stated by Crane and Scogan 2014 and Abidin, Kupusami and Azizan 2018. The last one is to determine the significant predictor of good governance practices on public trust at the Ipoh City Council, which are using multiple regression analysis. Table 6, as shown in the slide, shows that the determination of coefficient value of independent variables towards dependent variables is about 83.3%, which apparently shows that the relationship between good governance practices and public trust is high relationship. Apparently, in this study, IVs contribute almost 83% in determining the level of public trust, particularly at Ipoh City Council, Perak. Meanwhile, from the above analysis, it indicates that the most significant predictor of good governance practices on public trust is transparency, which is the highest beta value of 0.408 and has significant influence on public trust, which P value is 0.000. And we are going to the last part of this paper, which is conclusion. Overall, the findings from this study demonstrated that the level of public trust in the relationship to the good governance practices, particularly at Ipoh City Councils, is high, with the mean value within the range 3.61 to 4.12. Meanwhile, for the correlation analysis, the study findings shows that all good governance practices, namely integrity, transparency, accountability, and responsiveness, have a positive and significant impact. Have significant impacts to the public trust. Apparently, this study shows that all good governance practices at Ipoh City Council contributes to the level of public trust. This can be seen by looking the results of the relationship between independent and dependent variables of this study. Besides, the study findings also reveal that the transparency is the most influential factors towards public trust. Thus, the current study findings seems to highlight that there is strong support received between good governance practices and public trust, particularly at the local government. With this regard, the study finding provide an important indicator and attention, especially to the top management, pertaining to the importance of good governance practices in order to achieve the maximum level of public trust. Thank you for your time and Assalamualaikum. Have a nice day, everyone.